As a competitive multiplayer game like Splatoon gets older, bloat is inevitable. As you add more stuff, there's more stuff you need to remember, more interactions you need to know and understand. As the game gets bigger, it gets more confusing and more overwhelming. League of Legends, for example, is 16-ish years old and has 170 champions, each one with 3 basic abilities, an ultimate and a passive ability. And from there they can build up to 6 items, of which there are 108 to choose from, last I counted, and I'm not counting again. Splatoon is about 10 years old and has 130 different kits, each with a sub and special. Looks like you have a similar situation to League. However, Splatoon has a workaround. Well, yes, you do need to memorize 130 different kits. The individual elements of the kits are not unique. You don't need to remember what 850 different abilities do, you only need to remember what 70 mains, 13 subs and 19 specials do, which is a much smaller burden of knowledge. It also makes the kits a lot easier to make, since you don't need to design, implement and animate all new subs and specials. You can just take 3 already existing elements in the game and smush them together to make a completely new weapon. This was especially useful in Splatoon 1 since it was a very experimental game on a dying console. The kit system was quite a clever way of making the game much cheaper and much easier to create and to maintain. But we aren't in Splatoon anymore, and the cracks in the system are starting to show. And so maybe it's worth giving the kit system a little revamp. Maybe put more control into the players' hands and let them make the kits themselves. So what are these cracks? Why do I want custom kits so badly? Because while I think that from the developer's side, the current kit system is quite clever and quite useful, from a player perspective, it's quite frustrating. There are 247 different sub and special combinations, yet any given main weapon only has access to 2 of them, 1 sub and 1 special at a time. That's not a lot, is it? With so few kits, you'd need each and every one of them to be a banger kit, that each one shows the best of what that weapon can offer. But this just isn't the case. So many weapons in this game feel either half-baked, as in they either have one part of the kit that works, another part that doesn't, or they feel like they're missing a kit entirely, like Custom Gootuber, Bloblobadeko, Vanilla Big Swig, Dreadringer D, Neo Sploosh, and just so many different weapons. This is only made more frustrating when you think of what could have been and start to realise that it may never be. You have no idea how many tears I shed the day Kraken was revealed, because we already had English Nouveau by then, and I knew that Kraken Brush was never going to happen. But Brush isn't the only example. I am constantly hearing complaints that Dualies didn't get inkjet. There are so many fun and interesting kits that could exist. The elements to make them are in the game, but we got unlucky, so we don't get to make those kits. And I know I'm talking about this in terms of luck when these kits were supposedly made by humans, but come on, you can't look me in the eye and tell me that this wasn't randomly generated, like seriously. But just in case that wasn't enough, there are some weapons that got the perfect sub and the perfect special, but they're on different kits. Weapons like Mini, which got Burst Bomb and Bubbler, but on different kits, or L3, which got Burst Bomb and Crab, but on different kits. This problem could potentially be solved by adding more kits. Third kits would definitely help a lot of weapons that need it. If it didn't roll well the first few times, surely the third time will. It's not going to give every weapon what they need. You could add 4th kits, but again, there's no guarantee. You could add 5th, but at that point, why not go crazy with it? Give me 10 kits, 20 kits, 100 kits, 247 kits. Why not? The amount of kits that we have is completely arbitrary, not even limited by anything practical. All a kit is a rearrangement of existing elements. Adding a new kit doesn't add anything new to the game since all the stuff was already there. And if the amount of new kits you could add is practically limitless, the devs could just save themselves the effort of adding all those kits by letting us make our own, which also quite handily solves all the issues we've discussed so far. Custom kits are actually quite an elegant solution. But as fun of an idea as custom kits would be on the surface, we can't have them, because in practice, it would cause a lot of problems. Or would it? No, I don't think it would at all, but please, hear me out. So, when the topic of custom kits gets brought up, one of the most common sentiments I see expressed is that we shouldn't have custom kits because it opens up the possibility of certain broken main, sub, or special combos. There's the obvious one we're all thinking of, Burst Bomb on Stamp, Burst Bomb on Slosher. You can make an argument for Burst Bomb with Bamboo. You could also make an argument for Fizzy Bomb and Tri-Strike. You could also argue Burst Bomb with the Mint Decucumber, and that's it, really. Like, I've looked through every main, sub, and special in the game, and I'm out of ideas for broken game-warping combos that aren't already in the game. Stamper. There is a pattern among all the examples I've mentioned so far, and this pattern makes me think that actually custom kits aren't the issue here. All of these examples consist of one element that has an extremely exploitable quality and another element that is really good at exploiting that. Take fizzy tri-strikes for example. Tri-strikes have this unique property that once they are thrown, the special meter depletes immediately, letting you start rebuilding your next strike immediately. This is going to pair unreasonably well with high paint weapons like, for example, Fizzy Bomb. The other examples involve Burst Bomb and take advantage of the fact that Burst Bomb is a broken sub-weapon. What makes it so broken in the context of Slosher and Bamboo and Stamper is that it provides a large amount of damage in an AoE instantly. It is an instant damage tool that is very easy to land. This is an extreme aspect of the sub and gets exploited by high damage weapons who can use that sub to reliably and significantly reduce their time to kill. In both cases, there are extreme elements of a sub or special that kind of break the rules of the game a bit. Tri-Strike has no cooldown, when there are analogues like Missiles and Whale which do. And I want to make it very clear, Burst Bomb's AoE chip damage is an extreme aspect of the sub. It is able to do 60, 35 or 25 damage in an AoE instantly. Suction Bomb and Splat Bomb have similar combo numbers at 30 but cost more ink and are tied to a fuse that lasts 1 or 2 seconds. Burst Bomb has no such fuse and a lower ink cost, yet still has similar numbers. It is extreme. And so I don't think we shouldn't have custom kits, because OP combos is actually an argument against custom kits. Every single combination is actually just an example of a sub or special being unbalanced. Not unbalanced in the meta sense, but unbalanced design-wise. If you want to be strong in one area, you must detract your strength elsewhere. And Burst Bomb and Tri-Strike don't have that. They break the standard to give themselves extra privileges. If we were to tone back their power to bring them more in line with everything else, like giving Tri-Strike a cooldown and reducing Burst Bomb's AoE damage, they wouldn't be so OP anymore. And so I don't like this argument because it's trying to deny custom kits, trying to deny player control so that we don't have to deal with this game's poor balance. But there's nothing to say we can't fix both. If your issue is that the game would be unbalanced without the kit system, then your issue is not with custom kits, it's with the game balance. So I'm not convinced. Now, the second most common argument I hear against custom kits is the argument of homogeneity, that if you let everyone pick their own kits, they would all pick the same kits. They would all just pick the meta subs and meta specials and there would be no diversity no matter what. And you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe the kit system is necessary so people don't just spam the same sub and specials in, oh wait, never mind, we already do that. Sorry all Zipcat team members if you're watching, it just so happens that I already have footage of you already saved on my PC. Feel free to forgive me in the comments, and while you're down there, like and subscribe. While players can't control what the kits are, they can control what kits they play. Make Burst Bomb strong, and you'll see players pick the 3 best Burst Bomb weapons. Make Tacticaller strong, and every team will run Tacticaller, even if it means 90% of team comps will have a Snipe Writer. The kit system has done very little to promote diversity in this game. If anything, it has restricted diversity. It forces the kits to be diverse, sure, but people will not choose to play the bad kits. Why would they? Thanks to the kit system, the weapons that get half-baked kits are cursed to be forever mediocre and never picked, whereas the weapons that get good kits are blessed by being forever meta. This isn't a definite rule, you will find exceptions to this, but how impactful a kit is to a weapon's long-term viability cannot be ignored. It would be nice if we could trust that every weapon in the game will have a kit that not only promotes diversity but also ensures that it will always be able to perform at its best. But I don't want to hope and pray that we get the right kits, and I'd personally just like to take control myself. I'd like the power to make the kits for weapons to be in the player's hands. Not only does the kit system hinder diversity, I fully believe that custom kits would actually promote diversity. When talking about meta subs or meta specials or meta things in general, how good a weapon is in the meta is not just a number we can attach to it. There isn't this goodness number that is attached to every weapon, and if its goodness is higher than another's, it is objectively better. No weapon or kit exists in a vacuum, they are context dependent. Take the best weapon in the game, Inkbrush for example. Ask any Inkbrush player what the best kit it could get is, and they'll probably answer something along the lines of Torpedo Kraken. And you know what, in a lot of scenarios, that's probably going to be the one that everyone will want to pick because, I mean, the synergy is so good. But will it be the best option in every one? What if you find yourself on a tower control map? Sure, there are arguments to be made for Kraken and Torpedo there, but there are also very strong arguments to be made for, let's say, Suction Bomb or Splat Bomb to deny tower. Maybe use Bubble to control some rather difficult chokes or checkpoints. What if you find yourself on Rainmaker Humpback? You can make a strong argument for Toxic Mist and, I mean, Inkstorm, I suppose? Maybe not Inkstorm. What if you're on Flounder? Maybe you'd want Beacons or Burst Bomb. What if you're against a Tentabrella? Maybe you'll want Hammer. What if you're against a Roller? Okay, maybe you would want Torpedo, but maybe for whatever reason you'd also prefer Point Sensor or Auto Bomb. It doesn't need to be complicated either. Maybe you just find yourself using your sub very little throughout the game and would just prefer something you can just set and forget, like Sprinkler. This is the kind of diversity that you can only really see in a game with custom kits. There is no such thing as a best sub or special combination for every scenario. Unless the game has literally no idea of what balance is, there will always be multiple strong options. Multiple strong sub and special combos that different players might want to spec in and out of depending on the environment they're in and their own personal preferences. But there is a system that does have one option be objectively better than every other in every other scenario, and it's not custom kits. It is a system that forces you to pick between Dreadringer and Dreadringer D. It is a system where you get 2 kits and you hope that at least one of them is worth using. How custom kits should be implemented is a question and a half. Things like, how do we decide how much each special will cost? How do we clearly show a weapons kit through the UI? How will the update cycle work without kits? Lots of questions, but so long as the system works moderately well, to be honest, I don't care much about the specifics, because the point of the system is not to work perfectly. The point is to iterate on what you already have, to create a system that attempts to solve the problems you already have by putting more control into the hands of the players.